Hey, everybody, I'm Dan Hodgman with Topstep, and we're doing a little funded trader chat once again. I'm sitting down with Peter. How is everything going?
Things are going well. As we talked about before we started to record, getting through this pandemic day by day. But other than that, things are pretty good.
Outstanding. All right. So, where are you from? And give me a little bit about your trading history.
Sure. So I'm born and raised in Philadelphia. I live right outside of the city now. And basically, I've been trading on and off for a while now. But one of the things I actually, during this period of being home the last 6 months, kind of reflected on how much time I've actually been trading. Because if you look at it, you can easily say X number of years. But if you're not doing this full time, you have to look at how much screen time is involved. And I actually think that when I gave that some thought, and cumulatively added up those hours, it's less than what I would say kind of off the top of my head from the first time I pulled um, a trade off, here from my desk.
It's interesting the way you put it like that. I never really kind of processed it. It's been my job for so long that I sit there and I say the years, but when you think about it, most people are in that retail aspect. Have a real job and it's the time that they can get to the screen. That's a great way to look at it. What are some
I
of the
think
products?
too much. Sorry, Nick.
Go ahead.
Put too much pressure on themselves because I had to reflect on some things, and it's like, okay, you've been trading for X number of years, but really, if that's not your full time job, you need to really think about the number of hours because you need to develop a pretty good track record of sitting here and watch things unfold in front of you. And it's not like I've been sitting here for 10 years, 8 hours a day, 5 days a week. It's just not like that.
Yeah, absolutely. What are some of the products that you've been focusing on?
I trade primarily the NQ. Everybody I've listened to on your podcast, they talk about they have to find an instrument that kind of works for them and they have a good feel for, and that's always been my go-to. And also, now that we have the mini contracts available, it's exactly the same thing I stick with, the MNQ and the NQ.
How have you found that the minis have worked for you? Have they been helpful, especially during drawdown periods?
Yeah, I mean, for me, I like to, for my entries, scale in a certain zone where I want to enter trades, and going through the combines multiple times. I look back on it and kind of say, look, if I would have started with the smaller contracts earlier on, I think I would have lasted longer because you're really using a ton of leverage, which is another thing that I think a lot of newer traders and even experienced traders tend to forget. You're trading an instrument where it's highly leveraged. So, people think, oh, one or two lot is not that much. Well, what you need to do is multiply, like we're at 12K on the NASDAQ, multiply that by 20. That's $240,000. So for every one lot, you're trading a $240,000 instrument. So if you think you can put, 5 of those on, well, just keep in mind, you now have $1 million product that you're trading.
Absolutely.
So that's why you can get whacked pretty quickly if you don't manage your risk appropriately.
Absolutely. You got to put these things in perspective. It's a realization. When I first was trading and I was getting into this and I was starting to understand, well, the bond, it only every tick's $32, but what's the actual value of that? And you start to process these things. Holy cow. When I'm carrying 10, 15, even times we were long 250, 300 bonds, that's a lot of money on the line. And it's important to keep that stuff in mind. So has it always been NQ for you?
Yep. I mean, I've traded other products. I'll dabble here and there with the ES, but my go-to 90% of the time I'm trading the NASDAQ.
That's awesome. What are some of the things that you like to look for in the NASDAQ to determine trade execution? What are some of those things that you're paying attention to?
Well, I'm trying to always look now more big picture as to what's going on in the market day to day. For example, this morning, if you were to come in and sit down at 8 o'clock Eastern time, this thing's kind of on an upward trajectory. People are probably going to lean long at the open. I look at that differently now. I think what they want to do is shake everybody out and then bring it back up, which is exactly what happened today. Then they brought it back down again subsequently. But you have to really try to read the board. I think that comes with screen time. Day to day, you start to see some of these patterns and tendencies develop. And that helps me look for little inflection points where I can get in and out on trades, and really just try to hit a lot of singles throughout the day.
Singles is what's going to pad the pocket there and give you a chance to at least take a bigger one eventually down the road. Are there any indicators that you like to use?
I use a few. I use some moving averages. I use the Ikemoku cloud, and then just levels. I think overnight highs and lows from the Globex session. They're they tell you a lot. They're good inflection points. Usually, like, you just don't run through them. If there's a wide range and you get up to a high or a low, they're good areas, to scout a few points. And then again, having your levels mapped out. I think you got to do your homework. I usually come in early and start looking not only what's happening now, but what happened the last couple of days before, and that's really where I look for different trade scenarios to play out.
Everybody, it's not just me that says do your homework. Everyone says you've got to do your homework. It's the most important thing. We talk about screen time all the time, but again, it comes back to that time outside of the screens that we're still putting into this. We were talking hockey beforehand. I know you said your son's a big hockey player. I was a big hockey player, and we may get 2 games a week, but we spend 5 days a week on the ice practicing. I mean, it's all about that practice, that prep that we go into for those 25, 40-second shifts we get in every game. Same thing with trading. We may get 5 trades in a day, but we got to put in the hours and the work to be able to execute properly at those times. I love that you said that. I think that was a great point.
Yeah, you just can't show up in the morning and start clicking buttons.
No,
And
it doesn't work like that.
I find myself getting in. I usually don't have a good day that day.
I'm the same way. All right, I got a serious question here. You've been funded before.
Yes.
What were some of the issues you had, struggles, I should say, we had then versus what we're going to do this go around? I know you're already up pretty good in the account, and what's been the change here?
I think not putting as much pressure on myself from day one, feeling like I had to get out of the gate with a big start the first couple days. It's really been like the first day or two where I've struggled the most, and trying to take some of that pressure off myself again. Just trading smaller to start out with. Again, it's amazing how many times like you can sit down, you haven't traded in a while, and the day you sit down to get started, there's a big move in the market. And if you're over leveraged, then you're frustrated because you're down, you're not where you want to be, and then you're chasing. So I think just being more patient, it's something that has come with time for me. Every day's not perfect. Today I got clipped, I got chopped up a little bit this morning. I didn't do any major damage, but I'm done for the day because I know after a certain point, usually around 11:15 a.m., um, you're trading with financial capital. And then I also look at it as you only have so much mental capital each day. So I can kind of look back and feel where I'm at on past experience. And if I get to like 11 o'clock in the morning and I'm not necessarily having a good day, it's almost like those video game characters. You see their energy levels go down.
Right.
If I get to that point, I just have to wrap it up and start fresh, the next day. Or
Without a doubt. I mean, whenever like the term costs come up in trading, we always think the financial cost to trade. We have to
yep.
pay for our internet, our computer, the technology that we have. We've got the costs of execution, fees and commissions, platform fees. Those financial costs come up. But I think the bigger costs that we have to pay attention to is the mental costs. It's the psychology with it. It gets expensive in our head, especially if we have a bad day. So like you just did, you recognize that it's time. Hey, today I'm just not there. Step back. I'll go enjoy the weekend. We can come back next week and be in a fine spot. No real damage is done, and we can continue to grow.
Yeah, and that's something that I've learned to take inventory. Really, the last 6 months of just kind of being home more, I've come to realize that there's days subconsciously I know I'm not going to have a good day before I even sit at my desk. It could be related to how I slept last night, what other stressors might be going on behind the scenes. And I'm far from perfect, but I'm doing a better job identifying now, should I even trade today? Because if I
That's
don't feel 90 to 100%, it's not a it's not a good way to start off in the morning for sure.
without a doubt, that's one of the biggest things we have to pay attention to, especially now. Everyone's sitting at home. We're not in offices anymore. We're not on the floor. We all are sitting at our home offices, trading solo by ourselves, no one around. I mean, it's really easy to get caught up in that if we can constantly kind of keep our checks there. Like, okay, am I doing okay today? Am I there 100%? And sometimes our biggest opportunity is say, screw it, I'm not touching anything today. I'm stepping back. I'm done.
Yep.
Um,
It's so true what you're saying. I think trading, you hear other people say it's for me, it's so mental. It's between the ears of the real battle. If your framework's off, you're just at such a disadvantage when you sit down to trade. And you've got to learn, with time when to back off and not even trade some days.
Absolutely. I mean, it's a great point. And some days you got to step away. I know for myself, trading on a Friday like today, I'm probably not going to do the greatest. I'm already
Now,
thinking about
Fridays
what
are
I'm doing
tough.
this weekend.
Yeah, Fridays traditionally for me, I think I made money the last 8 or 9 days out of 10. Today's Friday. I gave some back.
It's
I don't know.
inevitable.
Yeah, I don't know what it is. It's like maybe because obviously you can't come back tomorrow. It's like, I played baseball. One of the great things is you go 0 for 4, you're going to play tomorrow. Well, the weekend breaks that up. Now it's like, I got to wait a couple of days to come back. You don't get
Right.
back in the batter's box.
Absolutely. Like my dad did this for 30 years. He was pretty darn good. And he didn't trade Mondays. He took a lot of Mondays off in the summer because he wanted to enjoy his weekend a little more. And in the winter, he'd come back into work Monday morning, get down on the floor, and it was more or less, all right, let's just keep an eye on what's going on here. Step back. I'm not hopping on everything because Mondays just weren't his day, and it made sense. And then as I got a little older, I started to learn that Fridays weren't my day. And there's just certain days that we just start to learn our heads are in different places. And if we can start to recognize that stuff, that's going to help us overall.
Yeah, and you need to take inventory of that, and it doesn't mean just take a mental note. Write it down somewhere, put it on paper. Um,
Do you do a lot of journaling?
I've started to. I'm not the best. I'll be the first to tell you to routinely day in day out do it, but I have over the last couple months. It might not be every day, but I'll take notes.
Have you found that helping at all?
Yeah, because it's something I can come in the next day or after a weekend and read some of the prior, 1 or 2 paragraphs I've written about each day over the last couple of weeks, and it just kind of brings me back to how I felt that day, and it gets your mind kind of in the right place to start, your morning off.
That's perfect. Everyone have some sort of journaling. I always joke and I show them all the time. I keep my trading cards on my desk full of notes and journaling and letters and levels I'm looking at. Everything's dated. It goes back. I mean, here's just, the last month or so stacked up. I got thousands of them stacked in file cabinets in here.
Yeah, and even just the exercise of putting pen to paper. You may not read all those again, but it's something I think, even just when we were younger and students, like when you write something down, it just gives it more context.
Right. I was not a great student. I hated taking notes, but the classes that I took notes in, those are the ones I did better in. It's funny how that works.
Yep.
Um, so what are some of your biggest goals that trading you hope to fulfill with trading? Short term, long term, crazy, out of control, private
Sure.
islands and mega yachts. What could it be?
Yeah, maybe early on, the big money was more of an attraction, but now it's just day in, day out consistency. I'll be the first person to tell you, like, I'm not 100% there yet. I can come in and do something really stupid, but I'm trying to put parameters in place so that the chances of that are as low as possible for me. Um, you know, I think again, trying to set expectations too high is why some people just continue to struggle. You know, give yourself some smaller goals that you can achieve, um, and let things add up. Like right now, I'm trading relatively small, but I have a plan that as the account continues to grow, I'll scale up a little bit. You can do that more with the smaller contracts. Like, I might scale in up to 10 or 15 micros, but in another 3, 4 weeks, well, maybe I'll scale on up to 30, 20 or 30, so, but I'm not ready to do that right now. I want to just keep seeing my account grow and so that I can breathe a little bit easier when I get to that point.
That's outstanding. Managed expectations. It's important keeping those small goals, because I think a lot of people get into this and they have that idea of I want to replace my current career with this. I love that. I think that's outstanding. Like, that's what I get to do almost every day. But to get there, we got to think about, well, what is it taking me to get to where I'm at in my current career? How was it when I started? Keep those things in mind so that I'm not over expecting what I'm going to get out of this. I've
Yeah,
got two last questions for you.
sure.
There's a lot of people going through the combine. You've been through it. You know it's not easy. What is some advice you have for those people working through it, just getting started, maybe struggling a little bit?
Trade smaller. It's the number one thing for me. So let's say you're doing a 150K combine and you're going to try to strap on 10 or 15 lots. Like one trade moves against you 10 points, you're done. Like because even if you cut that, before your daily loss limit, what are you doing with your next trade? I mean, you're going to try to come because now you want that money back, right? So you're more likely to try to chase. Start with a couple contracts, and just build some consistency over like 5 to 10 days. Then scale up a little bit, but you got to continually keep that in mind, like just to not over leverage yourself. You got to ask yourself, what's your hurry? I struggle with that sometimes. That I want to just get to that point where my account balance is or the progress, overnight, and it's been probably one of the more detrimental things from when I started trading was like trying to take a step back now and just say like I don't need to do it all in one day. And the thing is, like, it's almost like a self-fulfilling prophecy because now I've been trading the live account for a little while, and I can look at the balance and be like, all right, well, it's a pretty good amount of money for 3 weeks. I'm basically working a couple hours in the morning, and if I can do that over a long duration of time, it's going to add up substantially.
Without a doubt. And as you continue to grow it, then you say, all right, we've had 3 straight really good weeks. Now I can think about possibly leveraging up a little bit. And then that couple hours work in the morning goes from, this to this. The next thing you know, we're getting a little bigger and it just continues to grow. And it's just over time. That's a great point. I appreciate you bringing that up because
Sure.
I do think a lot of people, myself included, I'm not I'm not perfect. I over leverage myself too. I do dumb stuff just like anyone. So we have to all kind of remind ourselves those things a lot of time. That was awesome. All right. My last question for you. Um, how has your experience been with Topstep Trader so far?
It's awesome. I mean, the thing for me is it's never been about whether I can personally fund my own brokerage account. I mean, I have another brokerage account I'm not using right now, but it's about the eyes that are on me, with all the different daily rules and things that you've got to stick to. I've looked at it like if I can get through this, get funded, and do this for a while and get a consistent track record, my goal, I'd love to be able to trade 5 days a week, all year as my full-time source of income. But we'll see where it goes. Like, you got to progress to that point. It's not going to happen overnight. But if I can build a track record with you guys, I just think who knows what can happen.
I can't thank you enough for sitting down with me. This has been awesome. I'm excited to see everything you're going to do in these funded accounts, see those withdrawals come through. I'm looking forward to it. And I think we all wish you the best.
No, it's great. I appreciate it. I love to give back any way I possibly can. And also say hi to my three sons. I know I'll probably show them this at some point, and my wife who deals with my
Yeah,
crap every
can't forget her.
day. No,
Awesome. Well, thank you very much. I really do appreciate this.
my pleasure, Dan. Appreciate it anytime.